Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I'm Jim McPhee. We got Cody Cook over there in the corner here with us. And also alongside me always is Mr.
You know
Joe
who it
DeCapita.
is. Joe, yeah, let's go. What's going on, Nodos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are locked and loaded. It is Super Bowl week. We've finally made this long journey of 18 weeks, and now we're going into the Super Bowl. And the two best teams finished.
Yeah,
you know, NFC, the
yeah.
Eagles and the Chiefs in the AFC. I would say that those were the two top teams.
At least, throughout the season, yeah. I mean, the Chiefs, again, if you look at it, a lot of people thought they would take that step back, not having a Tyreek Hill on their team, but they've shown otherwise.
Different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they're one of those teams that had stepped up, towards the end of the season to try and, fight their way through that tough AFC, the conference playoffs. I mean, because those are a lot of the bigger juggernaut of teams to go through. You had a lot of bigger teams like the Bengals, and then the Bengals forced, the Bills out of it. So, I mean, it was a tough matchup for everybody throughout that whole conference. Cody, what do you think about that? You good on that?
Yeah, I don't think I have too much to say about it right now before we get into analyzing the matchup itself.
All right. Joe, I was thinking about this. We've been doing this show for 5 years, and we're going to be moving into our sixth season pretty soon. And I don't know what made me think about it, but then I was just thinking, I'm like, you know what? You have got to be probably my Vanna White to my Pat Sajak. I'd have to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I definitely know who those people
are. Yeah. Cody gets that reference at least on this 100%. I just like, we're just that, vanilla and chocolate type of mix here. And we've always been tight in here in this. And throughout the show, it's been a great team. But now between that beautiful matchup that we have the cream in our cookie. It's That's Cody Cook right there. Vanilla Oreo himself. So
no one can see me fist bumping back here.
Absolutely. But yeah, Joe, I mean, we're crazy. It's here. It's been crazy playoff time here. We're happy to be here with you guys out there. Pleasure to have you guys in the house. But yeah, with the big news that's been going on lately is the Derek Carr has now been able to the Raiders have granted him permission to go visit with the Saints, which he did today in New Orleans. So now he's able to talk to them and perhaps, get a trade here done amongst the Saints and the Raiders. So, the rumors have been true again, maybe looking to move on from him. And they have to now because of that contract there. At February 15th, he was going to get more guaranteed money by February 15th. So they have to make a move if they didn't want feel comfortable in moving into the next season with him.
Yeah, I mean, and this is kind of like, this has been in the works. Like, this isn't a surprise. We've seen this as soon as they made the decision to bench Carr the last 2 weeks of the regular season. We knew this point would come. We knew it would happen. And a lot of it was attributed to the Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr rift that they had as they went through the season. Apparently, it started in week 3 against Seattle Seahawks when so-called Derek Carr was called rogue. He went rogue in the final of that game and was able to bring the team together and call different plays and audibles, and Josh McDaniels didn't think that was funny. He was very irate at that, and Derek Carr helped him win. Now here we are. Because of that rift, the Raiders and the ownership and everybody with that organization now have decided to move on from Derek Carr. Thus, now we're at this point where they're trying to play a funny game. They have a limited time left, about a week left, to try and get a trade done. And that's got to be an okay with Derek Carr. He's got to be able to be okay with the trade wherever it is. And then they also had to agree with compensation. So for the Raiders. So apparently, from what a lot of reports are saying, that the New Orleans Saints and the Las Vegas Raiders have agreed on compensation, thus telling Derek Carr that he has permission to go visit with the Saints and talk with them and see if he likes the fit. Go from there.
Yeah, I will definitely be curious if this is just, tick for tack, swap Carr out for a pick, or if with the cap situation with the Saints right now, if they're going to try and pull off a trade to maybe have them still take up some of that cap. whether it's half and half or we see something like what we saw with Matt Ryan last season, where I think they paid like $40 million in dead cap for Matt Ryan on the Falcons last season.
Yeah, I don't think the Vegas Raiders are going to do that because they still got to build that defense up. They still got some pieces that they're definitely going to need to add. And by willingly giving up cap space to make that happen, I don't see them doing it.
Right.
They can simply just cut them anyway.
Yeah, it might even be better off because, again, the situation requires either the Raiders or the new team to absorb those guarantees that's going to happen on February 15th, where he will be guaranteed $40.4 million of his salary right there. So, again, either team has to absorb some of that. So if the Raiders decide to cut him, they'll take on a $5.6 million salary cap hit and free up $29.3 million in cap space. So, it'll still happen. I think they'll free up some of that money on cap space if they trade him. But then again, who's going to pay that that leftover salary? They'd have to agree to it. The Saints that would have to.
There's a lot of things that can transpire. Obviously, you look at even with the contract that it is now, even with those guarantees, it's a cheaper deal for a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
You give up one draft pick or whatever it may be, and you're going to get a proven franchise quarterback to come in onto your team that is already ready to win. They have the offensive line. They have some weapons. Obviously, they drafted Chris Olave last year, and he panned out even just as a rookie. But then you think about Alvin Kamara, you know what I mean? Taysom Hill to utilize once again as an X factor. Yeah. And a lot of things open up that way. And defensively, pretty solid defense. They're pretty good. They're pretty much set in the NFC to make a run. They just need that quarterback, and Derek Carr could easily be that answer.
And Cody, why don't you look up, see what because again, they have to free up some cap space and restructure some contracts. Can you look up and see what the bigger contracts are for the Saints? Because again, I mean, there's definitely been some guys,
Marshawn
veterans, that they could probably look to release and let go. How much did they get Honey Badger for? Last
Honey Badger was cheap.
Fairly cheap still.
Yeah, think about it. Their big hitters is Cameron Jones, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. Like, he's making a lot of money now. But guess what? Those contracts, I really don't think they can get out from them. They just recently signed those extensions with these guys. Cameron Jordan's another one that's making a ton of money.
Yeah.
You can't. You're going
to have to.
You're going to get killed.
They probably have to.
If you try to move on from those guys, you're going to get killed in cap. And right now, they're currently over by $60 million.
Yeah.
That is tremendously hard to do if you're just trying to. Hey, let's see what small contracts we can do. It's not going to work. Teams that are in this situation, like Tampa Bay was in this situation before. The Raiders were in this situation before. There's been teams in this, the Rams even, and they're dealing with it again this year. There's way that you can manipulate the contract. There's way that you can restructure them, which is basically just paying all their guarantees right away, and that's going to lower their cap number. So that's kind of more of the realistic pathway that I could see the Saints going to make Derek if he is going to the Saints. That's the only way they could make this work, is by kind of restructuring contracts, shelling out that money to alleviate the cap situation, and getting enough under to where they can absorb his contract currently, if that is a trade that is going to be pulled off. The more likely thing that's going to happen is I just feel like at the very end, they're going to end up releasing him before the 15th, and he's going to be a free agent. Now, what does that do for New Orleans, though? Because now they're in a great situation. Yeah, we agreed on trade compensation, didn't have to use it, but now that we've had him in for a visit, he sees what we're about, he likes it, he might just go right to the Saints even if he was cut.
Maybe. I don't know if I think he's going to end up going there, mainly because there's a lot of hoops that got to be jumped through for Carr to even get near this team. When it's restructuring any kind of money he wants, he's probably got to take a lot less now, take maybe more down the road as some of these guaranteed contracts kind of start coming to an end. You still got guys like Michael Thomas. We don't remember him because he's constantly injured, but he's still making tons of money to not even be on the field half the time right now.
Yeah, that would probably help them out, at least at one point, for a starting point. Again, and if you look at Cam Jordan's contract, he's good till 2023, at least. But then and after that, all the rest are void contract or void years, which he's already got. He's got his guaranteed money, so there would be against the big cap hits 2023 and down further. So they definitely want to restructure that contract and get a more friendly deal with him if they want to hold on to him, or try and force something out of there. Because really, the only way that they could do it is say, hey, guys, if we get a Derek Carr, I think we have a legitimate chance to make a run, especially with the way the division has been. You saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers limped to the front of that division.
Losing record.
With a losing record.
They won the division, losing record.
And so who else are your contenders here? The Carolina Panthers, who look like they're retooling or rebuilding at this point, and the Atlanta Falcons, which were, there's some question marks still too on what they're doing with the whole thing moving on from Marcus Mariota to the Desmond Ridder. So this is a prime time where they can speak to these guys like, hey, I think we still have a great nucleus of guys. We showed improvement last year. We just didn't have the guy. And the guys that we had in the locker room here, with an Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston, they're not it. If we get our Derek Carr in here, we just need you to work with us here on your contract, and we can go and make a push for the Super Bowl here.
Absolutely.
And a guy like Cameron Jordan, at 33 years old, is probably saying, hell yeah, I think I'll
I don't mind getting paid in advance, for my for my career. Of course they're going to be okay with restructuring. Anybody would be. You're getting your money faster. So for the Saints, I think they're going to be able to do it. If they really do like Derek Carr, and Derek Carr loves being as a Saint, as a quarterback there, I think, this is something that could easily happen. Yes, there is that major hurdle of getting over that salary cap thing, but I've seen teams like the Raiders, I've seen teams like the Rams that have had to move mountains, basically, to restructure, to renegotiate, to move contracts around to make things work. Even to bring Aaron Donald back, they had to do that same thing. So for the Saints going forward, for Derek Carr going forward, I think that it makes a lot of sense. This is a logical move for Derek Carr in his career, what's left of it, and also the Saints. I mean, if they are able to get their quarterback now, they could win. Not only could they easily win the division, but I think they could definitely make a push for deep into the playoffs, possibly the Super Bowl.
All right, we're having some camera issues.
Yeah,
we're going to try and deal with this, but it is what's tough. Cody, take it away.
Oh, gosh. Already?
But what would the Saints, again, it looks positive for the Saints, but again, you got to figure out the money and stuff. So if it's even not the Saints, this is only the first team that he's granted to be able to talk to right now.
Yep.
Who do you think even now that, because they're saying they weren't allowing him to talk to people, so now they are. Who do you think's a real true contender besides the Saints here?
Besides the Saints, there's only a couple other teams that I think would really be in contention, because Carr's not going to want to just go into a rebuild right now. Teams that are maybe a couple steps away, a couple signings away. I think the Jets would be a realistic contender. I see Joe shaking his head, but I think they could be a contender for Carr. And as much as we just talked about them rebuilding, I could maybe see the Panthers hopping into there as well.
The only reason why I don't think it's the Jets is because Carr does not like to play in cold weather at all. He doesn't do well in cold weather. We've seen it numerous times in Pittsburgh. Couldn't get it done. Anytime he has to go into that super cold climate, I don't know what happens, but he's not the same quarterback. So I would kind of shy away from teams that are going to be in that cold weather, especially for all those home games. And I could easily see him going to New Orleans, like we've been talking about. But I also could see him going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay doesn't have a quarterback now. Tampa Bay needs a quarterback. Now, if you were going to Tampa Bay, they can easily kind of readdress that offensive line issue that they had last year. They have Ryan Jensen coming back. Hopefully, he's still on 2 years are left on his deal. So as an all-pro center, I mean, that would be amazing for Derek Carr to walk into. And he's got veteran receivers, much like he had in Las Vegas. Yeah, he has Mike Evans down there, Chris Godwin. And they got, I don't know if they plan on keeping, I know Rashad White played extremely well down the stretch. So that you have that nice compliment to the game. But other than that, that's another team that I could see being in the sweepstakes, so to speak, especially if he's cut.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that works out for them too. But there's a lot of different things they gotta feel out too. So I mean, if you look at over the cap, it's got to be one of those other teams. Like I know what you're talking about with the Jets and stuff like that here. Maybe not, Joe, but you got to look at it and say, hey, they got cap space, and they said they are willing to go get like one of those veteran quarterbacks. Yep. So you would say he would have to be in the conversation at least. For the Jets, or then consider it. And if I'm the Jets, I'm at least bringing them in. You know what I mean? To take a look at it and say, hey, maybe this guy can still help us out here on this situation. But
it's true.
I tried to look at the numbers now. All of our computers and everything are just freezing up tonight, so this is going lovely. I'm glad there are no comments right now. So this is awesome. But yeah, Joe, who knows? It's how you feel as a Raiders fan now, and to see this stuff, to see this break up the way it's been,
the way it happened, the way it's transpired, it's been terrible. Yeah. I mean, if you're a true Raiders fan, like you don't want Derek Carr to leave the Raiders. Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback. Derek Carr, this is the only year he's played as bad as he's played. You could look at his rookie year, and it's kind of close, but all the rest of the years that he's played, he's had a 9-year career with the Raiders and has had a lot of times, MVP numbers and has played extremely well. I'm sorry, he's a top 10 quarterback in my mind. No bounds about it. So any team that gets him, he's going to elevate that offense. He's going to get that team to play so much better than what they have been capable of. Like, I think he could be a difference maker for teams like New Orleans, for teams like Tampa Bay. Maybe even you throw in Carolina, because we know Carolina's going to be looking for a quarterback. I know they drafted Matt Cassell, but he hasn't shown anything. And I know it's his rookie year; he's still got to develop further and everything. My thing is, it's like if you are looking for a quarterback, this doesn't happen in the NFL. Franchise quarterbacks at only 33 years old, now going to become available, you better be the first team at his front door when free agency period starts. Like, you better be ready. Send a private jet. Bring him in right away, and don't let him leave until he signs, because this type of situation does not happen. It just simply doesn't happen, especially 33 years old. And that's incredible to me. Like, now he's most likely going to be a free agent. He's going to be out there to pick out his team, and hopefully he goes to the right situation. We've talked about the Saints. We talked about Tampa Bay. Carolina's still in the mix because they're going to need a quarterback. And then, who knows? There might be teams that we're not thinking about yet that have quarterback situations that still got to figure out. Yeah, if you look at money
too, I mean, you've got the Bears on top of the situation here with they're going to have $93 million cap space next year, and then you got the Falcons and then the Giants, but then Texans had already been said in a quote now that they're out. So the kind of funny thing about it is, so they're out, but then even more space after that. What's scary is the Bengals. So how about that with the team that they have right now? And this is why they're that type of team that's almost got to be like the way the Seahawks were. They've got Joe Burrow and those guys under like rookie contracts right now, so they got to hit now, because once these guys go to get those big contracts, their window's going to be done or closed at least. So they got to figure this situation out. But looking at those top 5 teams, again, any of those, are the Bears sold on Justin Fields? They could be. He looked really good at the end of the season last.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. They just have him.
But the Falcons, like we said, are they sold on Desmond Ridder now after seeing that situation unfold after Marcus Mariota? Yeah. And then the Giants, what are they going to do with Daniel Jones after this one? Did he do enough to say that, hey, I can lead you guys moving forward into the playoffs and further than what we did this past season?
I mean, he's clearly answered that already. I mean, he did it, 1 year with Brian Daboll as a head coach, which is amazing. I mean, that's not normal either. You getting a whole new regime on your team, not having, marquee players or a ton of high-end players on your roster, and to be able to take that roster, as depleted injury-wise it's been. I mean, those guys were kind of limping the whole season long. They didn't have receivers. They were just picking guys up left and right. Just to kind of Band-Aid and duct tape the offense together, the defense together, whatever they had to do. So for the Giants to be able to accomplish what they have And then you saw Daniel Jones kind of get better in this offense with Brian Daboll. And he looked really good all the way down into the playoffs. So you got to wonder for the Giants now. We talked about it before with Daniel Jones. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Did they see enough from him? I think they like the way he handled the offense. I do believe that the Giants are going to try to sign him to a long-term contract. But if it doesn't happen, that opens up another conversation. If they are going to move on from Daniel Jones, what quarterback are the Giants probably thinking of bringing in? Derek Carr would be the top of the list if that was to transpire.
Yeah, I don't think I see any. Oh, that's the wrong camera. There we go. I don't think I see any scenario next season where we don't see Daniel Jones in a Giants uniform. I'm just gonna be really curious what the numbers are in terms of the contract talks right now, because I'm happy how far we made it this season. It was great to watch as a Giants fan, especially considering I was hoping for like 4 wins. So to see us even make the playoffs, get a win, was huge. But this is one season. If Jones wants to make big money, he's got to keep doing this. Can't just be, I got my one big season, I brought us to the playoffs, give me my money. That's.
I mean, that's the thing though. That's the part with contract year contracts with players. We've seen it happen numerous times. Guys explode in terms of performance. You know what I mean? They just look at Josh Jacobs. He went crazy. He's the rushing leader at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then you look at Daniel Jones and how successful he got as the season went and progressed. These players, they seem to play better on a contract year because they want to show the whole NFL like, hey, I'm the real deal. I can play. Sign me up. So this puts the Giants in a tough cube here. Yeah. Because now, if they do decide to sign him, now what has to happen is those talks, like you mentioned, Cody, is what kind of number are we talking? Well, it's going to be average. It's going to be at least 35, at least. If you want to keep Daniel Jones, if you really believe in him, it's going to be around the 35 million or up from there, because we've seen the market get reset a few times now. With Russell Wilson, who doesn't deserve the money, but hey, it is what it is now, right? Aaron Rodgers making the crazy amount of money that he's making, 45 million on average per year, and then think about Lamar. Lamar still hasn't signed his new deal. There's a lot of friction going on between the Ravens and him. Yeah. So that contract is also going to have to develop too. So the marketplace is crazy, especially for quarterbacks. And where does Daniel Jones fit into that discussion? Like, could the Giants somehow negotiate him to have somewhat like a Derek Carr-esque contract where it's about $30 million and maybe you get some incentives in there, put in that contract? Yeah. There's a lot of dog and pony show that still has to take place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a thing I could see with the contract could maybe be in the similar realm of what we saw with the Taysom Hill contract, where it's just very incentive based, and if you don't hit those incentives, there's not that much money there. So if Jones doesn't keep performing at this level, he's not just getting overpaid for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But if he plays at that level, then he's making bank, and we're getting the guy we're paying for.
Right.
I think that's very good deal for both teams.
Absolutely, but that's the tricky part, though. That part right there is where, then you got to play, the agent's playing devil's advocate. The guy's like, oh yeah, but you saw how much better he got this season, right? Right down to the end of the season, we made the playoffs. We did this, so we deserve X amount of money. You know what I mean? That's got to be our starting point. And if you aren't able to meet that at the conversation table, then we're out. I mean, so there's a lot of things that could happen. I don't think Daniel Jones and his agent is going to look at it that way and say, hey, yeah, we'll do performance based. Yeah, why not? We'll take a low medium thing, low medium pay, and no, they're listen. He's going to get paid more regardless. Yeah. It's just trying to find that happy medium for the team and the player at some point. I mean, that's going to be the tricky part.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's what kind of guy is Daniel Jones? I think he could be that type of guy that has, a respect for the team and the team that drafted him and the way he plays, and again, giving him that opportunity. And again, how much is he going to listen to his agent and do that and stuff like that? Because we heard Saquon even say, hey, I'm willing to take, less money even to stay with the Giants or whatever because I
didn't want to reset the
and things
market.
like that. Didn't want to reset the market,
Right.
go after that. So if Daniel Jones is in the right state of mind, especially if the guys really feel like a team-based type of guys, they're team players. Like we even call in the workforce. Say these guys are a team player. That's positive for them, and then that means there's a bigger window for the Giants here at this point. Again, like you said, after even just one season, and Cody brought it up with Brian Daboll after a dreadful past couple seasons going through multiple coaches, the sky's the limit. That your window gets that much bigger.
Right, and then you still got the franchise tag period to happen. And at the very worst, if they do in fact believe in Daniel Jones and they want to keep him, it's just like an extension in itself. If you franchise tag a quarterback right now, it's about $20 million. That's not bad, right? You know what I mean? That's
still great
cheap.
money for
That's cheap for a starting quarterback. So that's something that can easily be done. Now, again, there's going to be conversations that are had behind closed doors and with the Giants organization. They're going to have to discuss this in great detail and come up with a decision. Do we want him or do we don't want him? Do we want to move on and go maybe grab potentially a Derek Carr, maybe somebody else that's not available at this time? You know what I mean? Maybe a Jimmy G. I don't know what their thinking is going to be that fits this offense. But maybe if they do make that decision, say, hey, you know what? He did good for what we had and so forth. But I didn't see enough from him. I didn't see enough progression going through his progressions and everything. I didn't see him read the defense the right way. So if they do, in fact, move on from him, that's going to be a whole big conversation that we're going to deal with later on.
Absolutely. So that's crazy how that Derek Carr conversation just branched right into that. But I mean, Cody and I could talk about Daniel Jones and the Giants all day long and stuff, and the situations going on with them. But another headline that's come across here with everybody lately is the fact that Aaron Rodgers now he frequently visits now Pat McAfee's show. He's been like a set piece there for them, because his ties to AJ Hawk and everything. So he's got a nice spot there. He says he'll embark on a 4-day, 4-night darkness retreat, Joe, soon after the Super Bowl on Sunday. And then he's going to reflect upon that and then make his choices after that. So again, it instantly went to people thinking about him doing the Ayahuasca again, even though even in articles like Adam Schefter had said, no, he said he won't be doing it then. But it seems very reminiscent again. He's going to retreat off to the mountains in the isolation again.
That's right.
For a few days, 4 days, 4 nights, it's like, hey, he's gone, for a while and he gets spiritually enlightened. And then the answer will come to me. I'm going to sit there in my zen. In there.
Yeah, 4 days, 4 nights of nothing. That's really what it is, guys. Know-it-alls out there. If you haven't heard of this darkness retreat, to me it sounds crazy. Like 4 days, 4
nights.
Like
I want to try one though. We should all do a darkness retreat.
No, I'm not doing it. We're gonna be. You're gonna be in isolation.
Something, but we have to be by ourselves, or does he go with somebody? Is he going with his girlfriend, or just? By
I think it's by himself. You're isolated.
We should all maybe do this.
No cell phones, no technology at all. Pitch black. They feed. They give you your food, your drink, and stuff, so you can survive in there wherever it is. I don't know.
Who's they? Maybe he just takes it.
Is it a closed
resort?
No. This is like a
place like a retreat
type of place where they do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like a custom dark room.
He'll be fed and watered like a good pet that he's gonna be, and I don't know what kind of makes you think about doing this. Like, it's not like a common thing like that you hear about people going to do. Darkness retreat. Now, and you brought up the Ayahuasca deal. There's no doubt he's going to be doing Ayahuasca in there. Not to mention, I'm telling you, maybe it's a 4-day retreat to do whatever drug he wants in the dark room.
What else is going to be doing? Crazy. That's right. And the hallucinogens on there. That you're going to be on, like, what are you going to see though? So that's what I mean. We've heard about this and what he's done.
When the logo comes to him, that's the team he wants to go to.
Yeah, and even when he's asked about it, this is what he already he hints it to it. When he's asked about it, here's some of the quotes here. Again, there's right there on the screen. It says, I've got a pretty cool opportunity to do a little self-reflection and some, isolation. It just sounds like something. Yeah, I'm super stoked right now because I'm really high. And then after that, I feel like I have a lot closer to that final decision. It's like that's what it seems like. Somebody stoned saying this stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm actually doing that. It's just weird. And since this past off season, when he went through the whole host Jeopardy, I'm not sure if I'm going to play anymore. Stay with the Packers, and growing the hair out, the weird haircut, looking like
The
Nicolas Cage.
yeah.
Boom, like from
Going in
Con
60
Air.
seconds.
Yeah. There you go. It's like, what the hell's going on with this dude? Like all of a sudden he dabbled into stuff, the COVID stuff, and that's what I mean. He's gotten this natural type of drugs he's on or whatever. The thing, it's just a different situation. It's interesting, and it makes people point to that whole situation here. But maybe he's mellowed out though, because you used to, even a year prior, you see him on the sidelines having an argument with Matt LaFleur. It's pretty heated.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. A few times.
Now he's kind of just like, he's upset a little bit here and there, but more like
he's just like, whatever, you suck,
and
Matt.
then shakes it off and is kind of like, yeah, I know, what are we going to get? You don't see him as frustrated on the sidelines.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw it this past season where it might not have been a big blow up like before. However, he was pissed on the sideline, and you could read his lips to Matt LaFleur and say, call better plays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, I remember that too. Yeah.
There's definitely a rift between the head coach, and it's been growing. And we didn't think nothing of it because it's Aaron Rodgers. He's Green Bay all the way through and through. That's where he's going to end his career. Never once did we think that there might be a time where he looks to leave, or maybe the organization moves on from him. But there could have been some things happening behind closed doors that we have not even heard about, where not only was there a rift with the head coach, but maybe we've also have heard rift with the GM, begging Gutekunst to bring in offensive weapons for him so he can try to make it back to the playoffs, try to maybe get farther and win another championship. But up to this point, he's like, dude, you get, okay, great. This past offseason, you got me two rookies that had a hard time catching the ball in the beginning and didn't even know the plays half the time, and were lining up on the line of scrimmage wrong, and all these things. It's insane. So, I mean, now we're hearing this thing about now he's going to take us to retreat, and it sounds like even with the organization of Green Bay, it sounds like they are preparing to move on from him. You're getting that feeling from Green Bay, like now's the time. They did it with Brett Favre in the same kind of fashion, where you got that feeling where there's going to be a transition happening at some point, and this could be it. Rodgers could be moving on from Green Bay in some kind of a trade to somebody that wants him, and then what's that going to do for Green Bay? Strap up, Packer fans, because Jordan Love is coming. He's going to be your new quarterback.
Yeah, that's the situation with that whole. I mean, and then how are Packer fans feeling about that? I mean, do they feel confident now in Jordan Love and that whole situation?
He
showed something. The
little bit,
was it one or two games that he had?
Well,
this year?
No, it was like even like a half a game, wasn't it? Until Aaron Rodgers
there
came
was
back
one
in.
game
Like,
where it was
one
half.
game where,
he looked great.
Yeah,
but
and then Aaron Rodgers is like, no, I'm good enough. I'm going to start.
The thing that
Sit down, son.
The thing that I would argue about that is we saw the same thing with Brock Purdy with the Niners. At first, whenever a quarterback comes in halfway through, like Jarrett Stidham too, with the Raiders, he came in at the half or came in, where someone didn't expect to face them,
right?
Or they don't have any game film to go off of to find their weaknesses, and they're like they don't know what to do as a defense. They're like, let's try attacking them this way. Oh, that didn't freaking work. Drove right down and scored a touchdown. Let's attack them this way. Oh, that didn't work. They went down and scored another touchdown. Until they kind of figure out that quarterback, sometimes it's already too late. So we've seen that happen. Now Jordan Love, more and more tape that he puts out there, who knows what defenses are going to do with him? You know what I mean? How well can he's developed under Aaron Rodgers, a really good quarterback. Maybe he's learned some tricks from him, and now it's time to put it all on the field and show that you deserve to be the starter.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Love has always had the physical traits. It's just been us, he's been a backup for years. We don't know if he's put together the mental traits, the stuff it takes to win the games. It takes more than just a big arm. It's the only reason he was drafted so high. He didn't go to a big school, play all the best teams. He was just, this guy has a really big arm, and if he can put it together, he can be great. And it's just until he's out there for more than a game or two, it's not something we're going to know. But kind of going back, just a funny thing that I thought about Aaron Rodgers-wise the other day. So when Brett Favre left, and he went to, what was it? It was the Jets right away, right? It was the first team he went to.
No, he went to the
Didn't
Vikings
he go
first,
Jets?
didn't he?
Wasn't it
And
Jets
then it was
then
Jets
Vikings?
afterwards? Because I think he went right to the rival, the Vikings first, just to try to do that.
thought it was Jets
And then
then
he went to the
Vikings.
Jets final, and that was the
I
last
want to
time he
say
had
the
an opportunity,
Vikings is because the Vikings, after the Vikings, he retired. Like,
Yeah.
because I
Oh, really?
really think he
So
only
maybe
played.
we went to Jets
he only,
first?
yeah, he only played with
Yeah,
the
maybe he
Jets,
did then.
but only
Yeah.
did like 1
Yeah.
or 2 years or something like that, and then he left and went to Minnesota. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
how-
that's how it went.
How crazy would it be if we saw Rodgers take a very similar route where he leaves Green Bay, goes to the Jets, and then let's say even a year from now, the Vikings have finally given up on Kirk Cousins. And now, Aaron Rodgers is on the market. Takes the same route Brett does. I think it would just be kind of like a funny story. I don't know if anyone would talk about it, but it would be kind of cool as a football fan just to see that repeating history.
Very, very. It could. That's
It
another
could,
thing
but
that could
again,
happen.
I don't know if he would do that. And again,
I have
you
no
know,
idea if that would
repeat.
actually happen.
You know, I mean, that's what I mean. It sounds funny
Yeah.
because we all talk about this, especially in part of the media and stuff. I mean, it's a funny story, but again, he likes to carve his own path too. So who knows what he might do. And he's going to go somewhere that has some of those weapons, but. The Jets could be that situation though too, because again, if I've said it to, I think it was even Zach that I talked to a while ago, and then maybe even a Green Bay fan, this guy Matt. If you put Green Bay's roster and you put the Jets roster like side by side, I think the Jets just have a better roster at this point. You know what I mean? At least with weapons to throw to. You know what I'm saying? And that defense is coming around. You know, so I think it's comparison. It's a
when
good shot.
healthy,
It's
I definitely see
debatable.
the
And again,
points.
yeah, I looked at it here for when he was 39. He did go to the Jets, and then he finished off with 2 more seasons with Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, it's debatable. I mean, here's the thing too: is like, what was the one thing Rodgers complained about? Not having a
having
veteran
any-
receiver, not having guys that he can trust that know the game already. Garrett Wilson's only going into his second year as he was his rookie this year, and he shows promise, but he's not a vet. He's not a guy that can be depended on from time to time.
Yeah, Jets got some
Explosive
cap to play
player.
with right now, though.
But not that go-to guy just yet. Still has to further develop. And then if you go beyond that, Elijah Moore, another gifted type of young receiver, complained a hell of a lot this past season about not getting the football.
Yep.
But again, going to the Jets, could it happen? Absolutely. But if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're looking to go to a team where you could take over that offense and kind of really put up some big points and make a push to win sooner, I think the Jets still have a little bit ways to go. Their defense looks really good. That offense still needs to kind of be rebuilt, especially offensive line. We know that a guy by the name of Mekhi Becton can't stay healthy for nothing at left tackle. Or no, they moved him to right tackle. But you got those aging pieces that are also going to be heading out the door. So it's like that offensive line is not going to be the same.
Yeah.
They need to continue to draft offensive linemen or maybe bring in someone young in free agency that they can kind of groom into shape. But like for the Jets, it does make sense. I just don't think Aaron Rodgers would go to a team that is still kind of looking to build that team up yet.
And a lot of people are putting 2 and 2 together and trying to put him to pair with the Raiders now, Joe. Somebody now, if they just do cut Derek Carr and save some of that money, then they bring in like an Aaron Rodgers, who again, we put all this stuff together because it kind of makes sense because people are familiar with people. So obviously they're thinking Raiders. They've got Devontae Adams there again, reunited with him. There's your veteran receiver. If it makes him happy, this and this. He stays on the West Coast out that way. Everybody's happy, But what do you think about you in that situation if you guys do get rid of a Derek Carr and you bring in an Aaron Rodgers in this situation?
I mean, the first mistake is the Raiders are moving on from Derek Carr. It's that simple. Like that was a train wreck of a decision that was made by the owner, Mark Davis. He pretty much said, yeah, you know what? I'm sick of Carr. Let's get rid of him. What? Anyway, but now that you've managed to make this big decision, you're moving on from a franchise quarterback. Okay, now what's your plan of attack now? A lot of reports were saying Tom Brady was going to be the guy that's going to fit that shoe and go right to Las Vegas because he was going to be a free agent, and then he announced his retirement. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall just to hear the reaction of Josh McDaniels and Mark Davis be like, no, we had our chance. He's retiring. No, this is not working out the way we planned. What are we going to do? hey, I hear Aaron Rodgers might be available. You know, you never know, because if I think the Raider fan base would not accept anything less than Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Yeah,
because if you decide to move on from Carr, okay, you did the dumb thing, but now you need to come with something bigger.
Listen.
You need to have a bigger splash move now, because if it's not Rodgers, even if it's just Jimmy G or something, that is not a good move. That I don't care who you are, you're not going to go as far as you want to go.
No, it's just
And at that point, right? And at that point, you might as well re-sign Jarrett Stidham and have him battle out with a rookie that you're going to draft in the upcoming draft. That would be the only other scenario besides Rodgers that logically would make sense. Because now you made a bad move. You got to make a big move now. You got to prove to the Raider fan base, like, hey, no, we're moving on from Carr, but look, we're going to bring in someone that's better than Carr. Even though he's 39, you know what I mean? He could really help our team. We're going to take over. You know, we're going to score more points. We're going to do it the Kansas City Chief way. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that I could see as a Raiders fan that would make sense and would kind of like make me not hate my team anymore.
Yeah.
Boy,
A lot of people thought
that
when this-
escalated quickly.
Okay, I had to hear
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Okay, I
there
hear
we
that.
go.
Yeah.
So when this season started, a lot of people thought, you know, Raiders were going to make that step up. You go out and you get Devontae, and, you know, we're getting ready. We're going for the playoffs. And then just to see the team just start making that deep dive, not even really – they got a little close to the playoffs, but it just never really came together. And it's not Derek Carr's fault. Don't blame me on that. I love Derek Carr. I think he's going to do great wherever he goes. And whatever quarterback they bring in, I hope McDaniels treats him a bit better.
No, I hope. Listen, if they bring, let's just say if they bring in Rodgers is a vet. Good luck trying to talk to him like that.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna rip you a new one. So I mean, I just think that would be. I think McDaniels has to lay back.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
He has to reel it back in, become the offensive coordinator you are. Don't think you're the head honcho and you're going to be able to tell everybody what to do and you know, and it's your way or the highway. Because that didn't work in Denver, and it's not working right now. Because that's what it seems like they're headed. It looks like history is repeating itself. Let's just say they don't get Rodgers, and they're going to do the same thing, right? Denver, when he was with Denver, he traded up in the draft. He drafted Tim Tebow at quarterback. And how did that all plan out? The very next season, not even halfway through it, you're fired. You didn't get the deal done. And then you look at that Denver team, that was kind of a team that was still rebuilding. They had some pieces, but they still needed a little bit to go to see what they could be.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
The Raiders have Devontae Adams. The Raiders have elite weapons to use on offense. They definitely need to shore up that offensive line. And if they're able to re-sign Jacobs, one of the best running backs in the NFL, insert veteran quarterback to win games here.
Yeah.
Like it's the only thing that makes logical sense. Defense is atrocious.
Oh,
They
yeah.
still got
That's the thing,
they still got to
situation. Like,
build
why would-
they still got to
Be a
build that up.
secondary, Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's scary for an Aaron Rodgers, because, again, if they decide to do a trade, I'm sure he needs to agree on that trade to where to go. And I don't think he would go with the Raiders just because of defense again. You
Really?
know, because
I
of
do.
that. You know what I mean? I don't know, because he complains on either side. So I mean, if he's got to do it with the weapons and get it done on offense, he's complaining that the defense gives up plays. So I don't know.
But that's something that can easily be changed. And that's with all that cap money that they're going to have, they're going to be able to go out and
We'll
hunt.
see. Well, I
And
don't
what's
know.
their
We'll see.
cap numbers going into this next season? I
I
assume you
had
would-
For the Raiders,
I
after
had
they
it all
after
over.
they get rid
I'll
of
look
Carr,
right here.
it's going to be close to $60 million.
Okay, so they got a lot.
So
of
I
money
mean,
to
they're
make
going to
some
easily
moves.
be able to take on his contract, and then who knows? Because they could also restructure his deal too as well. So there's a lot of things that are going to take place, and then you look at the contracts that are currently on there. There's contracts that are
it's
going to be
near,
coming
like,
off the books on top of
Near
that.
50 million, but yeah.
So
yeah.
by the end, it will be 60. I'm telling you right now, because they're going to move on from other guys that.
Oh
are
yeah,
still
if they do
making
move
money.
on some other guys, yeah, absolutely.
For sure. That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to bring in their guys. We always hear about that.
Yeah.
coaching staff's got to bring in their guys. So let's see who their guys are.
Yeah, and what's hilarious too, it was just speaking about the cap and stuff real quick. I know it's all going to change too in the offseason before we get to next year and stuff, but there is a lot of red here, and it's fun to look at because some of the teams, I'm just excited because some of the teams that are in the red, the Vikings, the Bucks, the Saints, the Rams right there too. They made their own beds and they're laying in it. The Bills,
that's not even
the
that
Chargers. Bad. You know what I mean? But it's just kind of funny. I know the Rams aren't as bad, but if you look at the Saints and the Bucks, I mean they're struggling right there.
Well, here's you look at that list and the one that's the most over the cap is the Saints at $60 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Guess who had $57 million over the cap last year? The Rams.
The Rams.
They were the highest. And guess what? They got under the cap. All these teams are going to be under the cap. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
But they're all going to get under the cap. And then who knows what's going to happen with trades? Listen, like the Rams, they got Jalen Ramsey right now, right? And his contract is a lot. They could easily trade him and get out from under that contract. And that's going to pretty much take care of that over the cap deal. So there's a lot of things that all these teams are going to have to do. They're going to have to do some restructuring. They're going to have to maybe move on from people that they didn't want to, and just to get under the cap. But it's going to happen. I mean, these teams, they have all these financial advisors and everything that handle this. They're going to do their due diligence and get it done anyway.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, I mean, that's another interesting topic. We branched into a bunch of other stuff, but that's all fun stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about it in the next couple of weeks again before we take our short break until we get into the off season again, Joe, where we start talking about prospects and all this crazy stuff and getting into the draft. So that's going to be very exciting. But the reason why we're here too again is the Super Bowl coming up this weekend here, the big game here. It's going to be between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. Joe, we talked about it before again about maybe two of the best teams here.
Hold on, real quick. I got some news here. From the Washington Commanders owner. He wants about $7 billion to sell his team. $7 billion. Now, if you look at the Commanders franchise, right? They're one of the originals.
Yeah.
Back used to be the Redskins.
That's very racist,
that team and their value is extremely high. Extremely high. The value for that team is extremely high because they go way back, because they've been around, because they've had some success. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So now we get the price tag now. The manufacturer suggested retail price is $7 billion. Let's see where that goes from here, because we know that there's a lot of suitors out there that are definitely interested in stockpiling their money and to buy franchises, because they do not become available that often. So when they are, be prepared.
Yeah. But who's gonna go and get that money? We've already heard about Jeff Bezos and guys like that going to wanting to get that team. Mm-hmm. Guys like him can in front money. That's big money like that, because if you don't, it's gonna
own the rights to that franchise. It's usually a minority group. It's usually a bunch of people that have a lot of money, kind of stockpile it in the center of the table and say, here, we'll purchase this team. So it's like, it's always a group effort. There's always other people with a lot of money that want to buy in. Whether that be celebrities, whether that be businessmen, some people want a little taste of the NFL, so they get right in there.
Yeah, we're having issues with split
Cameras,
cam.
yeah.
I think people can
That's
tell
what it
by
is.
watching.
Yeah, it's split cam. So if you guys are just wondering what's going on, split cam is acting up. That's what's forcing everything out. So
anyway,
thank you
moving
for
on.
dealing with it, though. But yeah, we've heard about this. The Washington Commanders. Now he's actually giving us the numbers, so maybe he is willing to get rid of it. But he's kind of doing
I don't
maybe
think he has much of a
for
choice.
spite here to say, well, I'm not unless you pay me this much.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, dude, get out of here.
The funny thing is, he's going to be pushed and pressured and forced to sell the team. He's just preparing for it.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I have my own view on that. I just don't think somebody should always be forced to get rid of their
Well, you gotta
what they own. You know, what I mean,
Well-
they own it. I mean, but you know, I mean,
You're
just
representing the shield.
I understand, at least for him, though. There's things that have happened legally that show a cause to do something like that. I just hate it when like owners have to be forced because something they had said in media or whatever, and they're getting pushed out and stuff like that. Like, oh, this guy's terrible, bad for the shield or the image. He's got to get his team taken away.
Yeah.
I think that's BS.
I mean,
but at least if there's a bad, if there's bad things along the workforce and stuff like that, harassment and stuff like that, then there's legal things that you can kind of go through to say these a business is not operating under the standards.
I mean, and that you've seen that owners have been removed for reasons, for big reasons. It's not like, oh well, I don't like these guys on my team. You know what I mean? It's not like he's discriminating against his players and stuff. Like, oh, you got to go. Yeah. It's bigger deals. It's guys that are committing, domestic abuse in their office. It's guys that are outright violence in their office. Like there's bigger deals, and that's why these guys are getting removed. And hey, it's just like you were owning your own business. If you're committing a sexual crime against a beautiful woman in your office, then sorry, dude. Like just like any other corporation, you're out.
Yep.
It's her fault. So
she shouldn't be that. She shouldn't be that hot. She should not be that hot.
Exactly. It is a crime to be that hot. Whoever this
it's against the law.
Invisible or make believe woman is. So, anyways, I'm just kidding. Though everybody knows that.
I'm serious.
So, anyways, yeah, like I said, we are here about the big game here this weekend. We got the Super Bowl coming up here. It's finally coming, and it's the Chiefs and the Eagles, Joe. The showdown and the competition now is fierce again. We brought it there within one game, so here it is.
That's
it
how we
comes
do
down
it.
to this game here, Joe. You and I, mano y mano.
That's right.
Cody in the mix now if he wants to be involved, but there it is.
I'd have to look at my numbers.
I have to split up. I have to split up that way then. So do we put Cody at the bottom of that competition there in the whole verses now? Bing, 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 like a trifecta next year. We'll have to come up with a different graphic.
It would
get
have to
Cody
be different.
Involved, you know what I mean?
Definitely be different.
But that'll be interesting. And then maybe we spice it up a little bit. Like maybe weekly we do something, or even at the end
we have profiles that slide in. This is Joe.
Boom.
This is Corey.
Corey. I love it.
That's his new name.
Anyways, there we go. We got the Kansas City Chiefs.
He told us his new name.
Philadelphia Eagles, Joe. Eagles have had that great record throughout the season and looked unstoppable. Defense, the sacks, leading the lead in sacks here. Jalen Hurts looked like a better guy here with the weapons they had in the draft and in the offseason. They really took a step up and got him some more weapons, and that offense has looked pretty good. And the Chiefs, again, despite people saying that they didn't have Tyreek Hill, had some other weapons they moved through and picked up just odds and end guys. But still, Andy Reid in that offense and Patrick Mahomes getting it done, despite, again, that defense and the secondary being, leaky, but that front line getting them kind of just enough and holding them off some points against a tough AFC that's been stacked this season, and we've seen it how strong that AFC is.
Very competitive.
So I mean, the Eagles have their luck cut out from it, I think, in a sense, so too, just because the competition that the Chiefs had to deal with.
I mean, the Eagles have done it all season too. Like, yeah, they've faced their foes in the NFC and what have you, but they've also played AFC teams and just outright slapped them on the field. So for the Eagles, this is going to be another week. Listen, it is a big deal. It's the big dance. Everybody knows. Everybody's nervous. You know what I mean? I don't care who you are. You're nervous for the Super Bowl. You know that this is it. This is the main stage. It's your last chance to become a champion. So there's a lot on the line. So for the Eagles, I think that they're going to be nervous, but I feel like their team overall has been so strong for so long. They're going to bring it to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are also kind of well equipped. They've just like you mentioned, they bring in a few different players. Juju Smith-Schuster signed to a 1-year deal. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, who's now they're utilizing him as their speed guy.
Yeah,
definitely not the same.
Number 2 right now.
Definitely not the same. But they've had to find different ways to become that offense, that high powered offense that they were with Tyreek. So they've done it a different way. Now it seems like they're spreading Patrick Mahomes is spreading the ball around the football field a lot more to different players, and they're utilizing everybody on the football field, whether it be a running back or a tight end by the name of Travis Kelce, or anybody else. Even second and third string tight ends are coming in and making an impact. Guys that are kind of being overlooked. So I think that this Super Bowl is going to be a lot of fun to watch because there's going to be a lot of big-time plays on both sides of the ball for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to see just how creative the Chiefs' offense gets because, right now, Tony is one of your top guys. He's banged up. Juju's banged up. Valdez-Scantling is not known for showing up for more than one straight game, so I don't think he's going to exactly light up the stat sheet. And if you're the Eagles, it's hard. It would be weird if you don't see Kelce getting double-teamed, triple-teamed. Leave your corners just a one-on-one, these already beat-up, solid wide receivers, and just force them to either run it against you, against your top-tier line. It seems simple from an outsider's look, but Andy Reid is Andy Reid. So
Andy Reid is a very gifted offensive play caller, and everybody that points to Eric Bieniemy is a fool because
there's a reason he doesn't have a head coaching job.
Well, not just that. I mean, people have entertained the idea of bringing him in for that head coaching role to interview for. But think about it. Andy Reid, week to week, plans these game plans with Eric Bieniemy. And before the games, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Andy Reid says, hey, these are the group of plays that we want to do against this team. Yeah. These plays, specifically. This is what's going to work. Not anything else, this. So Eric Bieniemy isn't doing it by himself. Yeah. He's being told what scripted plays to call. So it is Andy Reid. He is the main. He's the GOAT of coaching. Yeah. Honestly, anybody out there, don't get me wrong, Bill Belichick is amazing too. But speaking from a guy that's not only held the head coaching job many times, as well with the Eagles, interesting, but also has always been that coordinator, has always been involved in the offensive game planning. So for him to take over this team without Tyreek Hill, that's it. New plan. We're thinking of a new plan now. We don't have Tyreek Hill, to expose people down the field. Yep. Now we're going to do this differently. And it's been working, because he's that smart.
It changes week to week.
So for the Chiefs, they have good players. So they don't have like a Tyreek Hill like we mentioned before, but they have guys and they're making it work. I mean, they're just making it work. Whether they got to throw the ball or run the ball, they're doing what they have to do, and they've done everything right up to this point.
Yeah, and they did just activate Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well now that McCole Hardman is officially ruled out for the game. So you might see more of those two running back sets that we saw earlier in the season with Clyde and Pacheco both in flanking him, Kelce in, and either another tight end or Juju or something. So you never know if they're just going to run it down your throat, if they're going to throw, because both Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire can both catch. So it's just that constant threat. Not many QBs and coaches could really make this work with these weapons, but with these guys, I'll be shocked if they're under 25.
And that's the other thing too, is you talk about that backfield, but Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon has been a lethal receiving threat out of the backfield, and a guy that you look at his stature and you're like, they should easily be able to tackle him, and he doesn't go down. He runs hard. So I mean, that's just another weapon in the arsenal that the Eagles are going to have to deal with. So, I mean, overall, this is going to be, the clash of the Titans for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about them, too. It's like, how much are they going to be able to utilize those guys in Pacheco? Because, again, you look at that offensive line, and then you look at the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. Mm-hmm. They might need to keep a guy back for pass protection. And the better running back for that has got to be Jerick McKinnon on that. So how much of Pacheco are we going to see? Are they going to try and spread him out and put him as a receiver more than even a running back? Because if the Kansas City Chiefs can't get the running game going and they go full one-dimensional on this, it could be a really rough outing for them, and it could play right into the Philadelphia Eagles' hands right here, the way they want to get this thing going. Because that's one thing that the Chiefs haven't really been able to do all season, really. Since not having, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even before, being injured or whatever, he has not even been the guy that he kind of looked like he could be, in
rookie
previous
year.
season. Yeah. So Pacheco has been a nice fit there, but he's a scrappy, small little kind of guy that
very
if he gets
strong.
into space, though, he can get out there and get some space. But they've been trying to run him up the middle like in the last game, and he wasn't getting a whole lot of yardage here. You got to get him out in space. That's where a guy like Jerick McKinnon works out. But if the run gets stuffed and then they go all pass, which we've seen them do it before, dude, because they're stubborn too. The Chiefs, no matter how great Andy Reid is and stuff like that, they really play into what their system is and what their game plan. I mean, they'll just try to execute it no matter what. So this could go into a really knockout, drag-out type of game. But if they get down against this defense, it could be tough to fight back.
I would say Pacheco is more physical than you're giving him credit for. I've seen him drag 2 players before.
Very hard runner.
I wouldn't. If you're seeing him getting stopped, it's because the offensive line didn't do their job and make a hole. So I mean, say what you will about him, but they're all good weapons that they have in that backfield. I mean, I honestly think that this is going to be the best game. This could end up being the best game. We've seen some great ones in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But this could be the ultimate game that we've been waiting for. Like, it could go one or two ways. It could be an all-out defensive game that a lot of people don't like. And it could be both teams trying to figure each other out until the very end.
Yep.
Or it could be a high explosion type of high point game where there's not much defense being played because both offenses are doing so well that it's tough for either one of them. And it might just take one turnover to decide the game. It might take a mishap on offense. So all in all, this game is going to be truly amazing. What I would like to ask this, though. If we're looking at, let's break this game down the way it's supposed to be broke down. Let's look at the lines right now. Offensive line and defensive lines for both teams. Now, if we put up the Eagles right now, we might as well just go into it because Jimmy mentioned it, is the Eagles D-line versus the Chiefs offensive line. Where do you give the advantage there? Or do you think it's equal?
Chiefs defensive line, or what did you say? It was
Chiefs offensive line, Eagles defensive line.
Eagles defensive line.
Yeah,
you would think
sure.
for that one again, because you even looked at the last game when we had talked about even them not getting called for holding so much, and you think even Wiley on the other end, possibly
that dude
not doing
holds
it.
more
Well, this is
times
where he's
than
going to be
anybody.
tested, I think, the most now. You looked at him last week against the Bengals defense. Now look at him against this defense. You're going to be flipping out against, because again, this is what's
definitely.
great about this game. I'm glad that Joe and I are not watching this game together, just because it's your rival team against my rival team, and I don't think
Too
either
much
of us
anger
want
in
any of
one
those
room.
teams to win. So it'd just be almost the same as if our two teams were fighting against each other. It's just kind of funny, but I give the nod to the Eagles. I don't know. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, I would definitely be going with the Eagles as well. This team, this year they put up historic numbers in terms of their sacks, in terms of their rush yards allowed. This defense has been great this season. It starts in the secondary and ends with an excellent defensive line. So the Chiefs' offensive line has been average. We'll see if they can maybe get away with some calls to keep Mahomes upright. But I want to see how that ankle holds up throughout an entire game against a team like the Eagles. He did okay last week. He ran hard when he had to. But this is a high ankle sprain. This normally takes you out for a good period of time. There are players who miss a lot of time with this.
Right.
And he's fighting through it, and he's still Pat Mahomes, but
You know what?
how long can this magic keep up?
He's not fighting through it. He's drugged up. Like, he has painkillers. I'm being honest. There's no way with a high ankle sprain he'd be able to play in the following week. There's just no way. He was shot up with painkillers and braced up, and that's why you saw it took a while in that Bengals game before it started to affect him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, especially when he got landed on. You know what I mean? That really kicked it in. Oh, man, the pain on his face was tremendous.
Yeah, when he had to do the one throw.
And that's when
it.
he was trying to be careful that whole game of not running if he didn't have to. Like, he didn't run hardly at all.
Yeah.
And you could see he was playing differently until he got injured. And then when he had to leave, he was frustrated. Obviously, for his team, he wanted to be out there.
Yeah.
But he came back. Well, he comes right back in the lineup, and he looks just as good because he got shot up again with painkillers. I mean, he's going to play in this game no matter what. He's going to be shot up with painkillers, He's going to be out there and playing for the Super Bowl, and it's that simple. Like I don't expect him to be limited in terms of that injury because he's not going to feel anything for a while until it wears off.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't know. I mean, this could be one of those games. It's the Chiefs have the number 1 ranked offense in the NFL right now, and the Philadelphia Eagles have the 2nd rated defense. So they're right there. We've seen this type of thing happen in the Super Bowl. Like you said, these teams you pretty much expected them kind of to be here because this is what you get. Now, history will show us that the number 1 defense will always win in this one. So that looks good even for them, but they're not the number 1 defense.
I believe
They're
that was the
number
Niners,
2,
right?
You know, it's happened a few times.
Yeah, Niners were number 1.
The Niners were number 1. Yes.
Yeah.
Just about every category.
So
Yeah, just about every category.
and we saw how the Eagles handled them.
yeah.
They even took out their quarterback.
Well, they took out their quarterback. That
Yeah.
changed the whole look of that game. You can't even say that.
I
It
mean,
was like the
Niners
Eagles just totally
defense,
dismantled them.
Yeah.
I don't
They
know,
were on
dude.
the
It
field
was
the
done early
entire
for them,
game.
and that's when you're on your 4th, string quarterback. It's done for any team usually. I mean, you're not going to pull out the miracle victory there.
McCaffrey getting throws in.
Yeah,
McCaffrey
I know, right
became
there.
that
You
QB
go
for a play.
going in. You know what I mean? Make him the kicker, make him anything. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough game. I think so too. It's going to be cool because it's deemed the Andy Reid Bowl because he used to be the coach for the Eagles. But then you've got both brothers, the Kelsey brothers, on either side of the field here too, Joe. I mean, the tension's going to be amazing here. It's in Arizona. That's a great place to have the game too because the dome and everything, the nice weather, anyways, the real grass.
Now I gotta say we talk about the trenches right now. We were talking about the Chiefs offensive line and the Eagles D line. The reason why the Eagles D line has the edge is because even if they rotate any other players out, you're playing another starter. You're playing the likes of Robert
Great
Quinn.
players all the
You're
way
playing the Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
You're playing these guys, and especially don't forget Jordan Davis is completely healthy. He's been waiting behind these guys to play.
And you still got
Mountain of a
Hargraves
guy,
in the middle.
Joseph Linval. All these guys were added
Joseph?
mid-season, where they when they started to notice like, hey, we really have a really good team, and we're destroying the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Let's go grab a few pieces that were still out there and make us even stronger for the stretch. And they bring these guys in, and it's like, dude, the Chiefs' offensive line is going to be tired because they're going to have to deal with these guys on a rotation.
Yeah, they're going to
constantly.
rotate.
Yeah, never
So
get any time off.
That's where I think where the Chiefs' offensive line they might even get tired out having to deal with these guys every single down over and over until we get farther in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hassan Reddick too, stepping up too, and again now that you got a guy that all that depth and stuff, a guy like Ndamukong Suh, he can do well now. You see the Suh of the playoffs, like he shows up for playoff time.
He
During
wants
the
to-
season,
yeah, he
whatever.
wants to win.
It's like all of a
also
sudden
forgot
he
he was on
shows
the
up
team
playoff
until
time,
then.
and there he is, and it's like you almost forget that he was there. I mean, some of these guys, that's what I mean with the depth. You forget that they're there. You're like, holy crap, I forgot about this guy.
And there's a guy on that team that used to play for the Cardinals, and Hassan Reddick, who was a pass rushing specialist for them the previous year, ends up being a free agent. I don't know how this happened. But then the Eagles grab him, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice signing. I'm like, and then you see what the kind of season he's having.
Yeah.
It's scary. This guy, you tell him to go get the quarterback, he's like the guy on Mud Dogs, like Bobby Boucher.
Right.
He's going to go get the quarterback.
Right.
I mean, it's
and
amazing.
a lot of people thought that he was just performing there in that last year with the Cardinals just
Right.
because of that void of not having Chandler Jones healthy.
Exactly.
Picking up, but
Yep.
he's done it here with the Eagles.
I mean, I would say that this is the deepest D-line in football
It
because
is.
also Josh Sweat. This is a guy that maybe not a lot of people are familiar with yet, but
he had a
watch that
great
Super
season.
Bowl. He's amazing.
Yeah, because what they have, like, 4 or 5 players, all with 10-plus sacks? You can't double anybody on that line. You double one guy, someone's getting through. Easy. It's all one-on-one matchups, and every single guy out there can win their matchup on any end. Doesn't matter what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be crazy to watch. And then, there's some teams that think it's a great idea to have their tight end block Hassan Reddick, like we saw at the start of the game last week. But I don't think Andy Reid will make that same mistake.
And I mean, that's the other thing is like you look past that and you look at the linebacking core, which we thought early on week 1, before week 1 happened, we thought, oh, maybe that's a weakness because we didn't really recognize too many guys that were returning to the Eagles. I'm like, maybe they still need to build that up. But surprisingly, they bring in guys like Kazir White, who's helping out in the latter part of the season. Nakobe Dean, the rookie, who hasn't shown really enough, but when he gets in there, he's making some flash plays, and
he's just solid.
They just have these solid players up and down this roster, and you get to the secondary, and it's lights out.
Yeah.
Secondary's incredible.
The rich get richer. That's what it's kind of like. Again, when we see Giants fans, we say Bradbury, well, we can't afford him at this point, whatever, we got to let him go. And then there he goes. He goes to the Eagles. Oh, come on, man.
Yep.
I was trying.
It was terrible because you knew what it was going to be like. It's not like when we saw Landon Collins now was no longer going to be with the Giants, and he went to the football team. I think that's what they're called then.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, what a good riddance, good for them, because I'm not really worried about that. And that's a safety position too. So when you're looking at James Bradbury though too, and then on the opposite side, that's scary altogether. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean Darius Slay, Gardner Johnson.
I mean, is the mix. So
Bradbury, like even Marcus Epps.
Yeah,
Marcus Epps playing really
we're
well
talking
too.
so great about this Eagles defense and everything. Like the game's already over, but.
We're going through. We're going through everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. So then,
on paper, the
let's
Eagles
switch
are
to
way
the
scarier.
Chiefs then, and again, and take a look at their side here, and kind of because it looks like they've got the mountain to climb here on this part, just because one, Patrick Mahomes is banged up a little bit. Two, wide receiving core is banged up. You know what I mean? And you know. So you don't have McCole Hardman, which is a nice
he's
piece
the
for
only
them
one.
too.
But he hasn't
still,
even
you
playing
saw
the
what
half of the
happened
year.
even.
McCole Hardman's been iffy.
But you saw even what happened with some of those guys as they started to lose guys. What if some of those guys get banged up again? You're relying on like a Sky Moore and stuff like that, who
John
really
Ross?
is
That's-
terrible.
John
You know what I
Ross?
mean? Again, that guy, what a bust for them on that. Just because he's not even the greatest returner, I think, in my opinion, either. You know, so. That sucks for them. So what are you going to do? Again, you really need to expect something out of, Valdez Scantling again to come out of the woodwork here and do something special for them, or God forbid Juju Smith-Schuster finally show that he could be something here for them, because since that one year under with Pittsburgh behind like an Antonio Brown, he hasn't really done anything.
He's a possession receiver. We've said this before. He's not a number one. He's not a guy that's going to take over a game.
Nope.
He's a possession receiver, a guy that moves the chains. And that's really how they're using him. When they need that first down, when it's 3rd and 7, he's getting the ball over on a drag. So, I mean, there's different things for this offense that they utilize, all these players. Mecole Hardman is the only one that's going to miss this game. He's the only one. Everyone's coming back. Everyone's going to be ready for this. It's a Super Bowl, for God's sakes. Nobody is sitting out this game unless they just can't walk, can't do anything. So they're going in. Patrick Mahomes is getting shot up with the go juice.
Yeah,
and he's
go-go
going to
juice.
get right in there and show his spadazz on the football field.
Yeah, we got it. The spadazz.
And and they're going to do what they do best. They're going to move down the football field, whether it be quickly or slowly. They're going to do it. What they need to do and score some points. This game is going to be amazing. I don't know what to expect as far as how it's going to go, because obviously both teams have to figure each other out. The whole first quarter, I feel like, is going to be like a feeling out phase. What do we do best against them? What do we not do so well against them? And by the time we get maybe right before halftime or after halftime when they make adjustments, then you're going to start to see both teams play differently.
Right. And I can look at the Eagles offense too, and what are they going to do here? For me, in my opinion, I think Sirianni is probably the weak point of this team. Like, I don't think he's the greatest coach out there. I think it's a well put together team.
Yes.
And
I agree with
there.
that.
Excellent team,
But,
excellent coordinators.
Again, but we have seen this offense really study their opposition really well. How do we beat these guys and run plays to get guys open to make things happen?
Right.
We've seen it multiple times throughout the playoffs and throughout even the end of the season too as well. So we've seen them scheme up nice too as well against their opposition. But what are they going to do against the Chiefs here? So that's what I'm focusing on here too. So it's going to be the two offenses. Then it's got to be against each other, because I think. What are the Chiefs' offense going to do to eliminate that pass rush if they can and score points? And on the other side, the Philadelphia Eagles, how is this offense going to run with Jalen Hurts, first time in the playoffs here with this team, and them getting out there? Some of them, they're going to be any kind of cold jitters, or is Sirianni? We've seen guys that are first time good coaches or whatever, but go against. You got that coach on the opposite side. We saw it with Sean McVay going over and seeing Bill Belichick walking across
awe of him.
in awe right in the beginning of the game, and you knew it was done. He just went over to Bill Belichick and said, "Here's my lunch money." And then you knew it throughout the game. Will Sirianni be able to do it? I don't think it's as bad, but we saw the weapons that the Rams had, though, too, in that team, and what happened to them in that game against Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, Sean McVay was a little bit different of a story. He literally was on his knees when he was with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in such awe of him and his stature and everything. Like, he was smiling like a schoolgirl in a candy shop. It was crazy. I mean, for this matchup, don't get me wrong. I think Nick Sirianni, from what I've been able to see with him on the sideline, how he gets along with his players, they've all bought into him. Like this is not a team where they're a little bit distant from their head coach. They don't know how to game with each other and everything and get along.
If that was the case,
this is different. This is, as much as I myself have criticized the hell out of Nick Sirianni. I did not think he was up to being a head coach, but I agree with you too, Jim, is about that the roster that they've put together, the GM and the front office, they've done a tremendous job of not only adding talent to an already good roster, but now this kind of puts them over the hump. No matter, Nick Sirianni can't even screw this up.
Right,
like he can literally just sit back and take credit for everything because it's not going to be on him. Yeah, he's gonna have to just play game manager, like he has been. But when you have a Jalen Hurts, a guy that's unpredictable, much like a Patrick Mahomes, that's these two quarterbacks going against each.
Would be interesting to see.
It's going to be insane because Jalen Hurts is mobile. Mm-hmm. When plays break down. And you're too worried about you're too worried about defending AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but guess what? Crap! Jalen Hurts just ran for 20 yards.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a hard runner.
He's a dynamic player. So both teams having those dynamic quarterbacks that can also run is going to really put a lot of toll on both defenses.
Yeah, and where you might even talk about tight ends, you might see Dallas Goedert right there getting a lot of touches here because of you're trying to watch those wide receivers and then dropping in the middle of that, especially with the way they like to play zone. Yeah, I can see that happening easily. And
you can make the argument that both offenses are very similar to each other.
Yeah.
You have now I'm not trying to compare Goddard and Kelsey. Don't assassinate me on this.
We're just saying they're quality tight ends.
But all I'm saying is there are similar offenses. The Eagles, they utilize their tight end when they need to. They utilize it when they start to notice like, hey, he's a mismatch. We're going to throw it to Goddard a lot more often. Yeah. Same thing the Chiefs do. Chiefs try to throw to him first, but if the defense is covering it, if the defense is covering it, they're like, oh, we'll just go to someone else. You know what I mean? Until they might come back to him later on. So both offenses, it's going to be a chess match for sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is we talk about, the pros of the Eagles defense and the pros of their offense, Hurts, Devontae, AJ, their offensive line is one of kind of these unsung heroes.
Yeah, 3 Pro Bowlers.
Offensive line is literally amazing. They've done a phenomenal job at pass protection, at creating rushing lanes for Miles Sanders, who I honestly didn't think he was going to be as good as he was this year. I thought that he is what he is. He's an average running back. But no, he kind of exploded on the scene with this team.
But that offensive line does it a lot because we even saw big plays with Boston Scott last week, too.
With everybody.
Or last week, but yeah.
The whole play.
Not even Boston Scott. I mean, look at Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, right?
That's
what I mean. It's like
everybody,
too.
Gainwell's been having moments, too.
I mean, that this team we know is going to be difficult. We also know the Chiefs are going to be difficult because you look at their offense and like, Cody mentioned the trio of running backs that they have at their disposal, the way they utilize them in different situations. Just when you think, hey, we got Travis Kelce locked up, Juju Smith ain't going nowhere because he's man-to-man, and no one else is getting open, so here comes Jerick McKinnon on the flat and turning up the field and getting 15 yards. So, I mean, it's going to be a huge chess match for both teams. And then I want to talk a little bit about the Chiefs defense because that changed too. The Chiefs defense changed. When Tyrann Mathieu left, we all thought that, we knew he was the backbone and the captain of that defense. Yeah. We thought it was going to be a bigger loss, and it has been. It's been camouflaged a little bit, but Justin Reed is no Tyrann Smith or Tyrann Mathieu. And it shows. Like sometimes there's breakdowns in coverage for a deep pass, and no one's covering the guy, and he's wide open. So, how's that? That's definitely going to affect this team. And we've seen it all year, where they weren't able to get the job done to keep so and so out of the game. You know what I mean? And they haven't been able to finish as a defense sometimes. They still have good players. We've seen tremendous cornerback play from L'Jarius Sneed and what have you. We at times, like it's not consistent, but it's there sometimes. And Chris Jones taking over football games by himself, like that to me is going to be the biggest.
That would be the key point.
This is going to be the biggest contest for the offensive line. Now, what I've noticed about Chris Jones is if you have a good offensive lineman going up against him man to man, he can be stopped. You got to have a good offensive line, which the Eagles luckily do.
3 of them.
If he's not able to get pressure, how much more is that going to affect this Chiefs defense? Because they've been able to live off of pressure. We know Steve Spagnuolo. You both know Steve Spagnuolo
absolutely.
very well. Used to be your D coordinator for the Giants. He's a high pressure guy, loves to send blitzes, and he's still doing that with the Chiefs. Now I wonder if his aggressive play calling style is going to be the problem for this defense, because we all know that the Eagles offense can adapt relatively quickly as well. And if they start to, hey, we're going to do max protection, we're going to utilize, hey, they got to play man now. We're going to utilize the tight end over the middle of the football field. We're going to utilize this guy, that guy. And could that be a problem for the Chiefs, being too aggressive in the Super Bowl on defense? Is that going to give up some easy plays for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles?
Yeah, they'll have to look at that and see how it matches up for them. Again, you're looking at the secondary guys that needed to step up. Frank Clark, Karlaftis. We saw a little bit of Karlaftis in the last game get some pressure out there, too. So those guys, again, when he gets in those double teams, but if you line him up on a good one, again, if he tries to go interior and you got Jason Kelsey right there, too, I mean, you got him locked up. So then you got to get
and then you go to the outside and you're going against Lance Johnstone. and he's just like, hey, what's up, George?
Lane Johnson, yeah.
How you doing? Just going to stop you right here. I mean, this is going to be a true test for both teams. How good are the Eagles? Because like you mentioned, they have been in the NFC. That they're half their season is playing NFC opponents. Has that prepared them? Like they got by the Niners, but luckily for them, the quarterback went down.
They
so
got injured
it's like,
on that
how
play.
much of a challenge is this going to be for the Eagles? Like, is going to be a challenge, or is it going to be kind of like just an overall good fight? May the best team win.
Absolutely. But yeah, Cody. So what after something, I pose a question here to this. I brought this up to Cody earlier and some other people. What are you going to do? When people talked about this, what are you doing for the Super Bowl? I got invited to a party or a get-together, right?
Okay.
All right. Now, I'm asking you guys for other opinions to see if this is right or wrong.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So I get invited to a party. I said, I'm down. My wife and my kids were all invited to. Let's go.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know if the person is really into football or not. I don't know. I know they're into soccer, but not
Where
really
you're
football.
going.
Where I'm going.
Okay.
So they're going to throw the party, though. But I said to her now, well, is this guy an Eagles fan? Because if he is, then I don't know if I want to go. So then, if he's an Eagles fan, I don't think I want to go. And she's like, well, why not? We're going
because
together
I'm
as a
going to
family.
punch him in the
and
throat.
I'm like, just because I don't want to be there if something great is happening for them. And he's like, yeah, fly Eagles fly, or not, and this. And just cheering them on.
And you don't know how he is.
I don't know how
personally,
he is.
right?
Yes.
You don't know if he's like
no, exactly.
Like a guy that's going to just be all over you because you're a Giants fan.
You might not get along with him, and there's going to be a problem. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a problem, but I won't like it. I don't know if
I'm not trying to be a problem, right?
She goes, why again? I'm like, because it's a rival of the Giants. She goes, but the Giants are playing. I said, I don't want the rival to do well.
You don't understand.
So she says, so let me get this straight. If they are not into that, the Eagles are, you're good to go. But if it happens to be that they are an Eagles fan or what, you will not go. I said, it's debatable. I
wasn't going to say it, but you said it.
But what do you? Some people have said, yeah, I don't care. I'm still going or whatever.
Right.
What is your guys? Am I wrong for saying that? Am I, because did I look like an idiot or
no?
What do you think?
But
you're
I
a
would
Raiders
say,
fan. If it's a Chiefs in there,
right?
So you're going. If there's Chiefs fans there, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, if I was invited, different scenario, obviously be a Chiefs thing. I wouldn't go. I mean, I'll be honest, because I would start to get pissed off. especially if they're like, yeah, you know what?
Or if they're holding to, like,
Or,
you get an in,
or
and
like,
they're not
I'm like,
getting
dude, it's holding. No, it's not. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
it could escalate easily, and especially like if you're a true fan of your team, and you're being invited to a rival's house to watch the game, their team's in it, your team isn't. It's probably not a recipe for success,
Right.
Everybody else
one
is
on
going to
you,
have.
like, yeah, you guys are sitting home right
everybody
now.
else is going to be, on edge because what's Jim going to do? You know what I mean? He's a Giants fan. We don't want to tell so and so that he's a Giants fan because who knows what's going to happen. And it could dampen the mood. It could make it a miserable experience for everybody else. If something did happen. Not saying that it would.
Yeah.
But it's like walking into the lion's den a little bit. You probably feel sick to your stomach once you enter the doorway, and you're like, oh, chill. What's wrong with this place?
Yeah, right?
There's so many Eagles
stuff
fans.
Yeah, like, what's going on? Cody, what do you think on this one?
Yeah,
What's your
I think the only way I would really go to something like that is
Alcohol.
maybe if it was like, well, that too.
Bing.
Like if it was a close friend who I know isn't just gonna be a jackass to me
Right.
the whole
Yeah,
time.
I get that.
Like, oh, how's it feel? Or wow,
Right.
it's at least one of our teams is successful. Or like anything like that.
But think about it
But
this
with
way.
someone I don't know well, I don't think I could really deal with it.
But think about it this way, though. You enter your friend's house. Your friend is cool. You know that he's not going to rag on you or anything.
Yeah.
But his other friends who are not so nice, who are going to
Oh, yeah.
probably be on you
All
a
depends
little
on the
bit.
scenarios,
Maybe they kind of
yeah.
throw some jabs there real quick and everything. But then maybe later in the night, you guys are all drinking,
Yeah.
and maybe they say something they shouldn't have said, and Things could escalate quickly.
Eagles fans.
Uh,
I only know Cowboys fans.
Well, that's
and
what I
don't
mean.
have to worry
Out
about
of a
them
lot of
making the
Eagles
Super Bowl.
fans I know, I don't think I would like to watch the game with them.
okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know
I
about
could
you.
see
You
it.
know some Eagles fans.
Yeah, I do.
Even I know even Matt D'Esposito. Like, I don't know if I would watch the game with him just because I know he's a diehard Eagles fan.
Right.
And I don't know how he might react to this whole situation. So we know a few that are out there.
Right.
They only come out when they actually make the Super Bowl. During the playoffs, they weren't even showing their faces still because they still weren't sure.
I mean, I would say like Cowboys fan base.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even know they existed unless it was week one of the season where they say they're all going to the Super Bowl.
we always know they're there. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they're there until they get.
But they're very
eliminated in the
quiet.
next round.
Have you ever listened to the Cowboys Stadium, the AT&T Stadium?
Yeah, that's true.
It is
They don't
so
really-
quiet.
It is
They're
true.
like, what? It's football's going on. Shh, quiet, shh, shut up. And then they're like, first down. It's like a golf clap. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, I honestly myself, like, I would remove myself from that situation because if it was, I guess it would be different if you went to a bar.
But
Like
it's
where there's a
also
mix.
different if I'm going by myself. If I get
No,
invited
I'm
by
saying-
myself,
I'm saying a
I would be
party at the
definitely not
bar.
going probably. But yeah,
You know what I mean? A party at the bar and so and so is going to be there. There's going to be a bunch of Eagles fans. But if you go to a public place, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be other Giants fans.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it might, be okay that way. But if you're going to a private party type of thing where someone's apartment or house, I
what
just
you
don't
do
know
then,
if that's a good
because
thing.
I've even looked at it. He probably isn't because I know he's big into soccer and stuff like that too, and I'm not sure. But
He's probably like,
one,
goal!
But one positive thing though too about this again, which I've heard, down the rumor tree, from my wife and stuff, is he's actually getting. I don't know how this is even available. If anybody wants to tell me this, but this is how this is a thing. But she's trying to lure me into this whole thing by saying he is actually getting buffalo wings from Buffalo for the Super Bowl.
No, he's not.
Yes, buffalo wings from Buffalo, which I don't know if they're already pre-dipped and made, and then they're just what from, and they can ship them somehow, or if there's
Well, you
an
freeze 'em.
airdrop, or do they just get the wings cold, frozen, delivered, and then he bakes them, or I don't know.
It's not
but
gonna
I
be
heard
good.
They're going to be buffalo wings from Buffalo. There,
That's great.
That's pretty
I
interesting.
could get
right?
wings at the pizza place across
I know,
the street,
right?
and they'd be hot and
I
fresh.
know. So I don't know. They
Well,
could be
what's
hot
that-
and fresh still,
well,
but I
what's
don't
that-
know. This is interesting. It
That's
has
like-
intrigued me, and I
That's
think
like
that's what it is.
that's like me, ordering from Kansas City ribs, like barbecue.
And get
You
them
know what I
from
mean?
Kansas
And
City.
get them from Kansas City, like.
Like these are right from
But
Kansas
the
City.
but the thing,
wow.
but the
But-
thing of that, like you think about that, like the shipping part of it, they're not going to be like, okay, they baked them, they're done, they're cooled off. Now let's ship them. They're got to be frozen because if there's got to be other people that do the same thing that are ordering from Buffalo just because, hey, it's Bill's Wings, you know what I mean, or something like that. But how when you go to recook them,
I don't know.
I don't know if they're going to be as good.
Who knows? I will let
I
you
don't
know,
know,
I guess,
man.
because I'm most likely going to this thing. But I don't know.
Oh,
I just
boy.
figured I'd throw
He's
it out
going.
there. But I don't know. He might not even be an Eagles fan, so we're making it a big deal out of nothing. But I just let her know that. And it was funny that she had a problem with it. And I was like, huh. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I understand that she has a problem with it because, again, we're trying to go as a family. But the fact that I thought that way, she was kind of like, wow, that's weird. I'm like,
It's not weird.
If you're a fan, you
If
kind of
you-
understand this.
You got to be a
so,
diehard fan.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
You can't be a casual fan like, oh, I like the New York Jets. You know what I mean? And hey,
name
how
one
did
player on there.
how'd the
I'm like,
Jets do last week?
yeah.
Oh, they played?
Yeah,
You
yeah. I
know
don't
what I
know.
mean?
What was
Like-
the score? I don't know. Yeah.
No, we if you're a
Does
diehard
Vinny
fan,
Testaverde still play for them?
I'm sorry. If you're a diehard fan, bro, that's like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good move.
I hear you.
I mean, unless you know, if you knew most of the people there and they're all cool, like they might they might just have a little fun with you. But other than that, they're not going to like do anything serious
Yep.
or try to get you feel a certain way type of deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it is what it is. But the stage is set, Joe. Here it is. It's this weekend. There's one game between you and I.
It's gonna be amazing, bro.
It's gonna be amazing.
This Super Bowl's gonna be. Actually, I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Both of you guys, like, what are you guys doing for Super Bowl? I don't have any plans right now.
I'm probably.
You're going
there.
to the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
Well, then
nothing
you're
as
out.
of right now.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I don't know yet. That's
Hey,
the whole
Joe.
thing. Is I'm trying to
I
I'm
hear
trying to
we're both
figure
not
out.
doing anything.
I'm trying to figure out that because I want to get out. Like I don't want to. I don't want to have like a get together at my place.
Yeah.
Like. Because honestly, like I still need to do some more cleaning. I don't want anybody walking in on it.
Yeah, like
but
go out to eat
but
somewhere
like,
and watch the game.
but honestly, like I'd like to go somewhere or go to someone else's house and like have like a little get together for Super Bowl and have a good time.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll talk about this during the week.
maybe.
Only maybe.
He's like,
just
oh,
says
man.
he
He's
has
like,
no-
I want to do. I don't know where to
Just
go
says he
yet. I
has
want to make
no
plans,
other
but just not with you,
options, and
Cody.
then, like, yeah, no, Cody,
You're just not
you're
good
like
enough.
option -1. Like maybe if I already had a little to drink, I'll consider it.
That's right.
Yeah, Joe's
Let
there.
me do
He's
a
like,
couple
I
shots.
can't go.
I got bronchitis.
Yep, no, I can't go now. So Cody, so then what are you gonna do? You're still weighing it out too as well?
Are you
I'm
gonna?
just kind of waiting it out right now. I haven't really decided. I've had a couple people kind of message me asking if I'm doing anything.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try and get some people together. More like pizza and wings. Just hang out with a bunch of people. No Eagles fans.
Yeah, that's what
And watch the
Cody's
game.
gonna search. He's smart like that, because he's just a single guy too. He could do whatever, He's gonna peruse. He's
Got my
gonna
options.
he's gonna look at the menu. Like, who has the best menu? Like, what are you guys offering? Hey, you're having one? Where are you
What are you
going? Are you gonna
bringing
be
to
at
the
your
table?
house? Yeah, like, do I have
Not
to bring my
Buffalo
own
wings to
beer?
Buffalo?
You have
I
beer?
can't go.
Yeah. I'm like, are you gonna have? Are you gonna have just buffalo wing? Are you gonna have barbecue? Are you gonna have garlic parm too? Like,
there
what's
gonna be
going
a
on?
Are you
Layouts?
having nachos?
What's on
That's
the
all I
pizza?
want to know.
Yeah.
Nachos.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You just said you're getting wings, but I mean, what's else? Is there pizza? Is there a
else is
salad?
pizza and wings?
Yeah. Is this a 3-course type of thing? Again, and do I bring my own beer?
Yeah,
and
like, is
supply?
there any appetizers?
Yeah,
Gosh.
it's like, oh, well, these guys are doing this. Can you do better? Well, if you do one better, then maybe.
Cody, I just got an invite
And
for
by the
this
way,
type of party.
by the way,
Can you
pick me
beat
up.
this?
It becomes like a bidding war for Joe.
Yes.
well, that's
Who
what might be
wants Joe?
That might be the
Who
decider too.
wants
He's
Joe?
like, well, I don't have a ride there. This guy will drive me here. I'm gonna go there. There you go. There you go. But there is an Uber.
all right.
So, anyways,
New topic. I wanna
topic. Here we
ask
go.
you guys. What's something that you need to have at your Super Bowl party?
Super Bowl party.
Do you have any traditions or anything like that? Like, is there like one like type of food or a snack or an appetizer or something or drink even?
And again, I'm not big into throwing the Super Bowl parties. I've been to a different few, but then since the family and everything, traditionally we've been making our own, frying our own wings and stuff and making multiple flavors, and then like a taco dip type of deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
and then maybe again do our own pizza or an order of pizza, but usually just make our own because again, pizza places are super packed during this whole thing too. So a lot of, we just make do with our own.
Order hours and hours.
Yeah,
to even have a chance.
You need to order right now.
Yeah.
In order to have it at your doorstep.
What's funny is I
before the
already
game.
bought a big, so many pound bag of frozen wings to have for this, and now I got invited to this place where I'm going to have wings from Buffalo. So then, do I share or do I bring wings and
bring
make them, or
wings.
do you just eat theirs?
No, yours aren't authentic enough.
Yeah, I know.
They're from here.
Yes, these ones are
from
from
New
a
York.
farm, here over here. They're not from Buffalo. They're from you know,
Upstate.
It's not the same.
they're from Nevada. They're Nevada chickens.
Oh,
It's the desert chicken. They're not very big.
Cody, what do you think? What do you got?
I think I don't really have many like traditions when it comes to like food or certain things that have to be there. I guess if I had to say something, maybe wings. Watching like a football game like the Super Bowl with buddies, it would feel a little weird with not being wings. Like if someone,
Yeah.
I can't even think of like they ordered, I'll say something weird like chicken tenders for everybody. Didn't even get pizza, no wings.
Oh, no.
Just kind of like menu items
I don't
like
think that can
lasagna
happen.
or something. I
Lasagna.
I feel like uncomfortable.
Like Dedo would do that. He's like, Cody, hey, you're coming to my Super Bowl party? Yeah, sure, Dedo. Why not? What are you having?
No.
I'm having cheese raviolis, Chef Boyardee, of course, and Jello.
So at one of the
Don't worry, they're
parties
individual packs.
a while ago, because we all, we'd hang out a while before the game started. We're all kind of hanging out. And I think Zach and Dedo were both there. And Zach had mentioned he was hungry. And Dedo quite literally offered to give him lasagna that he had sitting in his car.
Oh, gross.
Yeah,
Oh.
had lasagna with him for the occasion. It was legendary.
Oh, I brought it just for you. Just
Zach
for the
would
occasion.
definitely still remember that. Jeez. A legend of the car lasagna.
Yeah, crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does.
Oh,
That's right.
Crab cakes. So maybe
That-
we have crab cakes.
Oh,
in
yeah.
football. Anybody do crab
Dude,
cakes?
I love me some crab cakes. I love crab cakes. So good.
Don't think
I
I've
don't remember to
actually ever had
recall the
crab
last time I had a
cakes, to be
crab cake.
honest.
Yeah.
Oh,
I should try it, though.
definitely
Zero
have
times
to.
ever.
You fall in love
Maybe
with
someday
it
I'll try it.
again. Are you getting crab cakes?
Maybe.
I'll be there then.
I've had crab in multiple ways. Maybe that'll be it.
I
Maybe that'll be
found
the
the
But
design.
yeah, I mean,
On the hook for Joe. Reeling him in
I
now.
will say this, like staples for me for the Super Bowl. It's like, if you have nachos, pizza, wings, like that kind of
That's
of a variety,
Yeah.
like that right there screams big game playoff scenarios. Like, big football. You know what I mean? That's like when you kind of pull out the whole spread. You know. You know what else I love that I don't think anybody actually makes, but like pizza, like the pretzels, the soft pretzels, like you dip them with like the beer cheese.
Yeah,
That's
ooh.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's really
that's
good.
That would be
too.
cool to make your own on that. Yeah, I'm always down with like a fondue cheese dip
Right.
type of deal.
Yeah, buddy.
Fondue
sounds
is always
delicious.
good, stuff like that.
Definitely.
Oh, making me
Listen,
hungry.
All right.
if I don't think anybody's here right now, but
I know,
if
'cause
you're
with
new to the
everything's been
show,
going on.
we've been talking
mean,
about the Super Bowl. We've been
technicals.
talking about Derek Carr and the possible trade that could happen, but most likely won't
You guys
happen.
missed a great episode.
Yeah, I mean it's been an amazing
We'll watch
thing.
it not live.
We've even dove into a little bit of a Super Bowl. Like, what do you have any traditions, any food that you might like? Listen, comment down below, and we say this every single week. Wednesday nights, if you comment down below, we're gonna read your comment. We're gonna react to it. That's what this whole thing is being about, is being interactive with you guys out there. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to all of you know-it-alls out there that have been around for quite some time. I mean, we're 5 years going, so we must be doing something right. But beyond that, listen, do us a huge favor. Help us grow this show. Head over to YouTube. Search us up, Football on the No Show. Hit that subscribe button while you're there. Also, hit the notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. You can also follow us on Facebook. That's right. Become a member. Become a know-it-all. And anywhere you get your podcasts, you name it, Spotify, iTunes, we're there. Make sure you hit a follow along. Take us with you on your day-to-daily.
Yes.
And don't forget, too, we are also on Twitch. I mean, I know we don't kind of say that enough, but we are on Twitch. And if you have stumbled upon our channel over there, make sure you drop a follow there as well.
All right, Joe, here it is again. Stage is set. We brought up multiple different angles about this game. Now it's time to do the picks.
So many angles.
All right, so Cody, let's start off with you. Cody, what do you think about this matchup, and who are you taking?
Oh boy, I think this is gonna be a fucking excellent game to watch. I don't mean to swear about it, but I think it's going to be great. The battle of two epic offenses. One defense is a little better, but the other team's got the better coaching staff and a little more of the, I guess, I'll say the history for lack of a better word, with the last couple seasons being so successful. Mahomes has been here. He's done it. He's won the game before. Can he do it again? But if I have to go with someone, the Eagles have the depth. They have the players. I think it's just going to be a little too much. I think it's going to be a close game right down to the end, but it's going to come down. Mahomes is going to get a last drive, and I just think they're going to fall a little short. So I'm going Philly. I'm going to say like 34-31. I'm going to get a little gutsy with the score.
So, I mean, if you're doing Super Bowl squares
You know
and
that
you
with
get
me.
those numbers, like I
Just
remember doing
me.
Super Bowl
reminds
squares,
me. Yeah.
and like you get like 1 in 4. Like if it
Yeah.
was to end up like that, like before the game starts, you're like, I'm screwed. Forget it. It's
Yeah,
not
like,
going to happen.
It's definitely not going to be 14-11 at any point in this game.
But yeah, you know, you're right. I mean, it's going to be this.
You know,
this
wait,
game.
not that you get sidetracked again, though, but the squares, right? I don't know who's doing the square thing at Colorize, but they're even donating some of the money to their charity that they do.
Okay.
Colorize Cares.
Okay, that's cool.
But I was there the other day, and I'm looking at their squares, and they have 9 down the left, AFC score, and at the top for the NFC, there's 11. Like,
What?
How does that work? It is literal a
What?
rectangle, and they sold those squares.
What?
I'm like, who ran this thing?
Somebody
And
screwed
some
up.
dumbass put their name in the squares.
Somebody screwed up.
Yeah,
You
because
can
I was
only
even like,
win with
ooh, I was looking at it,
specifically 11.
and there's a
The
couple
worst
left over.
square in
What?
history.
Dude, there's even a couple left over still in the 9 on the 11 side. I was like, maybe I'll buy one. You know, but I was looking at it, I'm like,
Oh my god,
dude, but I'm like, there's
Bro.
11 on the top. How the frig does this work? I'm like,
So
Do you win only with 11?
oh yeah, it was like 11,
How
12.
many times do you see
It was, no,
11
yeah,
in
there was 10.
football?
No, 10 on the one side because you went from 0 to 9. You know that, so it had 10 on the one
Okay.
side, but the other one had like 3
11?
others, so it had like
Oh,
12,
it had 12?
12 or 13.
doesn't make
It had
any
like it was
sense.
definitely a rectangle. It was like 12 or
Somebody-
13.
Are there
Somebody
different
forgot-
squares
Like-
for each quarter, maybe?
honestly,
I don't
think somebody got
know.
confused that they were thinking fantasy football draft.
That they
It's
made
going to
it-
go
they
12 rounds with 10 picks, and they're like, "Oh, this is how you set it up, right?" No, I think they just royally screwed up.
They did. And the fact that people bought them, I thought it was hilarious.
Yo, this is
it's
for
a
the
good cause, though,
fantasy
right?
football pool, right?
As much as it's
yeah.
for a good cause, at least do it right.
oh,
But then
man.
also,
So
I joined
killing.
one that was a fundraiser for my buddy's son, who's doing it for his baseball team, where it's straight up, they split it in half. So half of it goes to the baseball team to help fund them, and then you win half, and then quarterly, weekly. So
Right.
and that was only $20, so I got in on that one. That's one I'm in.
Okay.
This year. So what about you guys? Are you
Cool.
guys doing any of those things though?
No.
No. Okay. Usually I
didn't get
don't.
it.
I don't
used
gamble
to
and
do
all that. I
squares
don't do
a
any of
while
that.
ago. I haven't done it. In a
I'm
good
terrible at
3-4
it.
I
years
usually
now.
do it every year,
Yeah.
but this year I don't think I'm going to get involved.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
about
yeah.
as unlucky as a person as you'll
Yeah.
ever meet in terms of
too.
anything
feel
remotely
the same way.
gambling related.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'll
I'll get the weird numbers, and then I'm like, and then it'll be like 7 and 1 and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna get it because I got 4 and something weird, But then all of a sudden I'll get 7 and 0. I'm like, yeah, and then all of a sudden it's a odd number 2. I'm like, what?
Isn't it?
So,
see like a safety happen. You're like, no.
Yo, that happened. That happened to me. That happened to me for halftime, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, nobody, dude. There's like a minute. There's like a minute and a
They're ready to
half
score
left,
and they
right?
kneel.
And like the team just got the ball back, and I'm just like, all right, don't score. That's all you got to do. Don't score. Well, they didn't score, but what they ended up doing is the other team got a safety.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? No.
I'd be furious.
I was so angry. I'm like, oh my god. Of course this happens.
Absolutely. So Joe, again, here we go. I'm going with you now for your pick here. Kansas City, your rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. We've talked about how strong they are. Cody's going with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean,
Fly,
this
fly.
game, for this Super Bowl, it's going to be epic. Like I feel like this is not going to be disappointing at all. I think both teams are going to put on a show. I feel like it's going to be close the whole way through, and I kind of when I look at both of these teams, I do see a little bit of weaknesses on the Chiefs' defensive front. Like I know that their corners have played well at times. But when you're sending blitzes against, other teams that just didn't have the quality of players that the Eagles do, like they literally have a legitimate, one of the best offensive lines in football. Yeah. They have weapons to utilize. Yeah. They have Jalen Hurts himself who can take off or not. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and then defensively, I just think they have just a ton of depth, a ton of really good players on that side where they can play any type of football. You want to play rough and physical? Okay, we will. We'll load the box up. You're not going to go anywhere. Do you want to play man-to-man? We can play man-to-man. We can play zone. We can play man zone. We can do a lot of different things and do them well. Yep. That's what I see on the Eagles side. Chiefs side, listen, they didn't get here for no reason. Like they got here because they were the best team in the AFC. Mm-hmm. And their offensive line has played well a lot of the time, especially in the playoffs. I feel like their O-line played better in the playoffs versus regular season, and they've really stepped up. Knowing that Mahomes has been a little banged up, knowing that they got to maybe hold a little bit longer than they would like to, and and hopefully don't get caught. So, but the Chiefs their receivers and everything, they're going to have them at their disposal. Me, Cole Hardman not being there, it is what it is. Like he wasn't that dynamic on the offense anyway. Yeah. But Juju, this is going to be a game where I think not just Travis Kelce has to show up, but Juju has to make a bigger appearance. He has to be more involved. You know what I mean? Because all the way through this regular season, he really hasn't been targeted that much, hardly at all.
He had like a streak for a little while.
Yeah. So, I mean,
4 or 5 touchdown games.
For the Chiefs offense, their backfield's going to be difficult to deal with. I think that'll be one of the challenges that the Eagles have to try to figure out how to stop and try to make, as funny as it sounds, try to make that Chiefs offense one-dimensional. Do not allow them to run. Make Mahomes have the ball in his hand, because what do the Eagles' defense do best? Pass rush. Yep. So that's what I think their game plan is going to be. And for the Chiefs, I think, listen, if they can manage to figure out ways to just move the ball, no matter what, every down you're getting some kind of yards, some kind of positive yards.
Stay ahead of the down
right. And I think that's kind of going to help them be able to put points on the board. And then, obviously, their defense, they're going to have to all step up. It's not just one player. You can't keep relying on Chris Jones to take over games. You can't rely on just your D-line to make the quarterback throw the ball before he wants to and try to get a pick that way. I feel like this is going to be heavily on the Chiefs' defense to see how well they play in this game. But for both these teams, I'm going to lean towards the Eagles on this one, not because it's the Chiefs, but because I believe with the way the Eagles have won games all year long, with the way they've been able to magically stay pretty much healthy all season long going into the Super Bowl. I just think they're going to have way too much for the Chiefs to kind of hold off. I feel like that team is going to kind of. I don't think they're going to blow them out by any means.
Yeah, they got a lot less question marks than.
I feel more confident in the Eagles than I do the Chiefs this time around.
Yeah, and it's funny, sneakily, quietly, Juju Smith-Schuster mustered up 933 receiving yards this season. That's pretty crazy, right? When you think about it again, because you don't look at his production, possibly what you expect out of him, but still, almost 1,000 yards receiving is good for a guy that we're not paying attention to.
Yeah, he probably had 6 or 7 TDs this year. He had a pretty decent number.
Something like he's got 3. I think
3?
it shows right here. Yep, 3.
Not 3. A red zone threat.
3. No. He gets you there, and then
was watching some different games
all the way. So what ones was I watching? But again, no matter how much you try and scheme up against stopping Travis Kelce, we still seen him be effective. We saw it even in the last game that they played. You're like, dude, how do you not double teaming him? And how is he getting open? You know what I mean?
Simple. They're just leaving him open.
It's like, dude, you figure it's a game. But we've also seen Andy Reid and stuff like that, and those guys with that offense bring a spy guy out, make it look like it's going to be this guy just to get him open. So it's
it's part of game plan.
It's a decoy. So you'll see these decoy plays that they do, and these guys are all involved in making those plays too as well. Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid, they talk to the players and say, hey, what do you think about this one? What should we do here? And they'll give their input too and help design some of these plays and what works for them and what they like too. So I think he's still going to be able to get some of his that he does. But like you said, also too, they've got to step up against this. It is going to be Patrick Mahomes against this tough defense. How electric is he going to be? We don't really want to see him be like it was when he didn't have an offensive line against that Tampa Bay defense because he was just getting pummeled to death.
Oh, this time
I'm sure
around
you
it's
want to see him.
different. This time around it's
a lot different.
Yeah.
So, but again, you guys all picked the Eagles there, stuff like that. I'm one game down. I cannot see the Eagles win another one.
No, God, please,
no. That's what I'll be like. No, so I'm like,
You should have let it play.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah, you had to say that last one.
no, I don't want to witness that. I will be rooting for the Chiefs on this one.
Of course you will.
So let's hope the Chiefs can get it here. And my son will be happy. He's a Chiefs fan, so he'll be there. We'll be cheering them on there. And hopefully they can get it done. I see a window where they could. I just hope, again, it's close here and they have an opportunity because I brought up the fact that the number one defense usually wins.
Yeah.
These guys got the number two defense, but you
But they're
can't
really
look
number one.
But when you also
number one
look,
a lot
though,
of
the
years.
Chiefs' offense is number one, but who's number three in the NFL? It's the Eagles. So they are tough, balanced all around. So they're a better overall team, like you guys had said. So they have an uphill battle. I just hope it's them on this end, so I can win or tie. Would this be the first football
time
on the
ever.
no tie?
Right.
So what do we do after that? Everybody drinks probably.
Yeah, everyone's got a
And then
drink.
I think I just
that's
win
what we're
by
kind of
default,
hoping for at
actually.
this one.
Huh?
What, Cody just wins by default? Is that what you just said?
No.
That's what he's got to be involved.
I'm pretty
in
sure I
that
got less than both of y'all, so
Yeah.
I'm already out.
one. But so I'm gonna go with the Chiefs on this one. There you go, and hope the Chiefs can pull it out. I'm excited for the game. I'll be probably going to that party and cheering on the Chiefs for that one. But we shall see, and hopefully next week, we'll have an interesting game to talk about. And it wasn't disappointing at all for us here. And you know, it's a
no
good
Broncos
close game.
Seahawks kind of game back like that. You don't want to see that kind of game happen.
I was happy
Like,
about
what,
that game,
38
and I'm
to
not. I don't even hate on the
14,
Broncos,
ended
but
up
I,
being-
you know, saw that Seattle team and how
That
good
was
they
a
were on
hard one to
defense. Boom!
watch.
Oh,
I don't usually. Get
it started
bored
off
during
early
the
on that one
Super
too. It
Bowl,
was all over
Yeah,
early.
that
but
was
I got-
bad.
I got quite bored by the end
Yeah.
of that game.
And that's the
This
thing.
is so one-sided.
Listen, we've it's been this whole season's been amazing for the NFL. Like the parity in the league, every game was like, field goal kick away
Yeah, just
from
sitting
winning,
on the end of your seat.
right down to the end of a lot of these games. There was hardly any blowouts. There were a few, but not that often. And it made the game better. Like it made you feel like a real fan again. Like your team wasn't running away with the win. So you're like, well, this game's over. I can just relax. No, you had to watch the whole game this year.
Yeah.
And now even the playoffs were crazy too. The playoffs, I would say, didn't go as the way we thought they would in terms of scoring.
Yeah.
A lot of them were low scoring, very close games. And now
And
here's
then on the NFC, a lot of blowouts.
and
on
then
that part.
and now you look at
NFC
the
was
Super Bowl.
A lot of ugly ones.
The Super Bowl. I feel like it's going to be just like that. It's going to be another close game where it's going to go down to the end. Just when,
Yeah,
and we've
there's
seen
no way this
how many
game's gonna
times
be
this year have we seen first half? The first half is played in the game, and one team is just destroying the other team, and then in the second half, it all changes. The other team that was losing just comes back and they end up winning right at the end. Like we've seen a lot of
Falcons,
lopsided,
Patriots kind of game.
games that just kind of give
28-3.
away. Yeah, you look at the Vikings game,
Yeah.
33-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what?
Yeah.
That's usually curtain call. We're
Yep.
done here.
All right,
put
to
in the
wrap it up
backups.
here. Well, go ahead, Cody.
No, that's it. That's
All right,
all
well, I
I
was going to say to wrap it up here, we'll just do one last thing. Just try to do a prediction here. Cody, who's your MVP? Your MVP that's coming out of this game. Just to make a prediction here. A lot of times it's somebody out of the blue that pops in, but sometimes it's that big guy that steps up.
Sometimes.
Because even in the last one, it looked like it was going to be Odell
That's a good
Beckham
one.
Jr. until he got injured. And
Right.
But lo and behold, Cooper Kupp shows his face because he was getting shut down early.
That's a
Wasn't
good
really
one.
coming out
Yeah.
there, but became one. So who knows in this one?
I'm gonna go.
It's a tough one.
That's tough. I think I'm gonna say Miles Sanders. I'm
Miles
going a little
Sanders.
funky.
Okay, it could happen.
I'm saying like 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 50 receiving yards or something. I think he's gonna maybe have a solid game. That's a hard one to just predict. You never know how the game's gonna
Yeah, you really don't. I mean, it's like, you're just taking a stab there. I mean, I would say it's tough because I add up between two people. Like, it could go really good for, like, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And he could do amazing. He could have, like, 100 yards rushing, 300 passing yards, you know what I mean, and like 3 touchdowns and look amazing. Or maybe the offense struggles a little bit, and maybe it's more A.J. Brown's time. We've seen him all season long, you know, kind of really being the go-to guy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm going to lean on. I think A.J. Brown is going to look to take over for the Eagles. Since I picked the Eagles to win, I'm going to say A.J. Brown's going to be the MVP at the end.
All right, yeah, it's tough for me again because I want the Chiefs to win, so I'd have to pick a Chiefs probably. But
yes, you got to pick a Chiefs.
But
gotta go with it
again. You know, if it's the Eagles again, I
Sheriff
can see
McKinnon.
I can see Jalen Hurts probably being the guy that you know, especially the guy who they talk about in the headlines that his first time there, new face for like some of these franchises in the youth out there with the, you know, African American quarterbacks, you know, getting out there. So I could see them being, you know, the thing, and depending what he could do, especially with his legs. If he can get out there and make some plays on his legs and get things open and be that guy that gets the offense going, if
that's
there
what
is
he
a struggle,
does.
that could be big for them. On the Chiefs side, again, there's no other person that I'd say than probably Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, boo.
Again, or Travis Kelce. But I'd say probably Patrick Mahomes because, again, I think they're going to make it all about him. A lot of times it is that guy that all of a sudden makes that big play. So could it be that surprise guy?
Well,
maybe on defense.
Here's my thing too about Mahomes. Mahomes is not going to be Mahomes like we saw this regular season. He's not going to be a guy that's just going to be running the football when he needs to.
Yeah,
he's going
he
to
puts
not
it on his shoulders. So
he's going to try not to throw. We saw last week in the playoffs. He did not try to run. And when he did, he got hurt.
It mattered, though.
Yeah. When he really
then he was able to use his legs.
Right.
Let me just say this real quick again. But didn't he go and make that threat of a run? And you saw the linebacker come up, and then that's when he just popped it over top of him.
But he also hurt himself in that same play and started limping heavily and had to leave the field.
Yep.
He's not going to be trying to do that running. You know what I mean? So that's going to be that's we saw in that game against the Bengals. It took a little bit of that spark element that the Chiefs offense always has with Mahomes. Yeah. And I look for that. Let's watch for that in this game. Is he going to be able to run, or is he going to not try to run and just say, "Hey, I just got to get rid of the ball and be more of a pocket quarterback," because he doesn't want to risk coming off that football field.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. That's it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the show, and we're going to enjoy this game, and we'll talk to you guys all about it next week.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.